Welcome back to Cut and Splice. This is Jason. I'm here with Matt and Gil. Did you guys got a chance to see this epic movie, right?
Yeah, very epic.
Not to be
Sure
confused with
did.
a terrible movie. The epic movie actually is.
Oh yeah, there is like an epic movie that's kind of like a really bad,
It's like one of the worst
Yeah.
things ever put on film.
like a
Yeah.
spoof,
All right.
spoof movie.
It's awful. So uh, this week I decided I wanted to pick a movie that was going to create some controversy here and hopefully some good conversation. I wanted to subject Gil and Matt to Movie 43, which is the title of a 2013 film. If you want to call it a film, it's really an anthology of short films, short comedic films that I mean, the best way to put it is that it's a bunch of really absurd short films with a really high profile cast, like a lot of A, B, and C list actors that you would not expect to be in such juvenile type situations. And when I saw this movie, I thought it was hilarious. I also thought it was kind of stupid, but I was shocked about, well, I wouldn't say shocked, but let's just say surprised when about, I don't know, 6 months to a year later, the next time I really thought about it, I saw online that people were really hating this movie. Like, they despised it. And I just was kind of surprised by that because while I certainly didn't think it was a phenomenal film or anything like that, I just didn't think it deserved the hate that it was getting. And so since we had never done an anthology before, and because we hadn't done too many comedies yet and stuff like that, I thought, let's go ahead and see what you guys had to say about this strange, bizarre thing.
I understand why it exists. I mean, I understand why it exists in the same way that I understand Hamas exists. But
You have to take.
sorry.
Really unnecessary, but okay.
Sorry. I'm jokes aside, as they generally were in this movie. Jokes aside,
Wow.
it's it's not no, it's not worthy of hate just because it's not worthy of a whole lot of second thought. I mean, in order to hate something, you have to. It has to strike something in you that draws some kind of passion, and I don't really understand where that passion comes from. I mean, it's. I mean, the first like the sequences up to the one with Chris Pratt and Anna Faris were like completely banal to me, and I mean, one was directly stolen from South Park. I mean, the that episode with Butters came way before this movie,
Right.
And South Park did it better.
Simpsons.
Sorry, did I say Simpsons? I meant
Oh
South
no,
Park.
no! I'm just I remember
yeah,
the whole Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. It was different one. But I mean, it did pick up after that. There were a few cute scenes, like the one with Emma Stone. And I think it ended pretty strong with the whole basketball clip. And
Oh, please tell me that you guys actually watched the last one, right?
of course, I watched the James Gunn
Okay.
thing at the end,
Okay,
and
good.
that was
I wasn't sure.
That was,
Yeah, I was
that-
very
I-
confused why it wasn't in it once the credits rolled. But
yeah, but that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. But
I really wanted to get both your feedback on that because both of you guys are now cat people and I'm not. So
yeah. But it's it will not get my lowest rating that we've had on this show. I'll just clarify that to begin with. It's not going to receive high praise. It's not going to receive a lot of defense, but it was better than what I was expecting it to be, given the clips that I saw from it when I was a projection and employee, back in LA, and saw, a few of the really, really grotesque moments that were supposed to be funny. But
what did you think, Gil?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree that stuff to have hate for something. I guess the closest thing we got to hate was like Funny Games with Matt. But both of you,
I certainly didn't like it that much.
yeah. But I feel
I respect it more than I thought I would, but I really didn't enjoy it.
But I feel like hate is a harsh word, because like I don't really. I feel like I never really hate anything. I'm just frustrated with certain things, but I would like to try and understand them, including Hamas, which hopefully by the time this airs months from now, hopefully they'll be like old news, but most likely they'll still be around, unfortunately. But
Matt had to bring current events into this, didn't he?
Yeah, you had to.
Sorry.
And I just have to like say that like it's probably gonna be outdated by the time, but who knows the way things are going.
Who knows?
But in any case, yeah, like it was not a strong beginning. Like the beginning was a bit too rough. Like it was a bit too ridiculous, like the segments. But maybe that was the intention. So like I said, being frustrated with something, like if you want to work art, like you go to like, what's it called? Like Six Flags. You don't start with the most like steepest, fastest like ride. You work your way up to it, because like if you start with the steepest one, everything after that will feel tame.
Yeah.
So in this case, they went with the really hard stuff in the first like 2-3 segments. Like the catch was pretty like tough,
Yeah.
Homeschool was way off, just way too much too soon, like Aronofsky doing The Fountain.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
But it slowly it got like better and better. Like I feel like the proposition, what was that one?
Which one's the proposition?
Oh, I think I might have missed that one. The proposition might have not been in the one that I saw. Oh no. Sorry, it was the pooping one, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the
with
proposition.
Chris Pratt and Anna Faris.
Yeah. And then there's Veronica, which yes, that one was like a nice scene. It was like kind of like a.
I think the supermarket one is that are they calling it Veronica? Is that what I didn't?
Yeah.
I don't know the names of them. I'm just going off of what. Yeah, I think that is unquestionably the strongest moment in this whole thing. It's my favorite one by far.
Well, it's the most dramatic, like the most acting that's going on for sure.
I think that that moment where he's saying, I don't even know what he says, but he's saying one of the most insanely ridiculous things to her, and she cries in the shot. Like, I mean, that she deserves accolades for that. Maybe
no. Like I said, like as far as acting, like they had more to chew on for sure in that scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we might as well go through them. Like without mentioning too much detail, we can get into it later. But like, and then like the eye babe was, it was cute, but it was kind of ridiculous.
Stupid, I know.
The superhero speed dating was very fun. It was like an SNL skit. Like
I think the endings a lot of them, in my opinion, just if we're gonna go through them, I'll just tell you that a lot of them I really love, but I don't think a lot of them stuck the ending.
Yeah, I mean, and the fault of the superhero speed dating is the fault that I give the overarching story is I didn't see the version. I don't know if it was the theatrical one that had the pitch, like the one with the producer, but I saw the one that had the kids searching movie 43 on the internet.
We might as well talk about that.
Yeah, so and to me, that much like the speed dating was not even the quality of an SNL skit. Like it was shot like almost like a Nickelodeon like kids show, only rated
Funny
R.
or Die. Yeah, it looks really
like
bad.
Just exactly. It looked very internety, and I know it was supposed to be about them being on the internet, but it's not supposed to be that lo-fi. It's like it's a major motion picture. Like it was in theaters.
So what Gil's talking about is that for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, like I said, it's an anthology of short films. They're comedic short films, but there are two different versions, and one was shown theatrically, and one was, I think, shown in some other way, or maybe in other countries. I think is what it was. Yeah, probably in other countries. But I believe they made the one with the kid. So initially, I believe, if I remember correctly, the one that Gil saw is two kids basically watching YouTube, or some like forbidden version of YouTube where there's like all these terrible videos, and that's what they're watching. So that's the framing device, the framing story that they have set up. It's really bad, and like Gil said, it looks extremely low budget, and I think it's just something that they threw together on the fly to get it kind of like greenlit or something. But if you watch the other one, I think they call it The Pitch or something, but it's basically, it's a little bit higher quality in terms of the stages and stuff that they're using, the locations, but it's basically just, it's Dennis Quaid as a deranged guy trying to get a movie made, and he goes to Greg Kinnear, thank you. And he's pitching him these terrible movie ideas, one after another, which ends up being each one of the shorts. And slowly he, through force, gets him to, he threatens him and everything, and gets him to like go to his boss and greenlight the thing, and so on and so forth. It's worth mentioning that when I saw this, I thought that whole segment, every time they'd cut out of the stories and go back to this framing device, I thought it was pretty bad. The whole thing I thought was pretty bad. This time watching through, I don't know what you thought, Matt. I was trying to figure out when it goes off the rails. And in my opinion, after watching it now again, essentially what happens in that story is that they're trying to make a joke about how this thing even got made. So it's kind of a meta joke in a way. Yeah. They're trying to say that the only way that this movie that you're literally watching ever got made would be if someone came in with a gun and actually threatened an executive. And even then it never would have gotten made, except for the fact that he goes to his boss, and then his boss is like belittling him in front of other people, and he does it out of spite, and he greenlights the thing out of spite. And then he says, I'm just going to bankroll this thing with as much money as possible to make them look horrible. It's all kind of funny. And then it's not that great, but it's something. There's a joke there. There's like a meta joke there. And then as soon as they leave his office, that's where it should have just ended. They should have just showed a couple more shorts and been done with it, or crammed them in somewhere else. But they go out to the parking lot, and there's some moment where Greg Kinnear grabs the gun and tries to threaten Common again. And it's like, it's so bad. This last segment in the parking lot is almost unwatchable to me. I'm just like, I don't care anymore about this. This premise is dried up. I want to get back to the short films. What are you guys doing? And then they try to go like Monty Python with it. They try to do like a really bad Blazing Saddles, where at the end they're like, oh, we were making a movie the whole time. It's just garbage. Yeah. So I really feel I was going to come into this saying that the framing devices need to be just removed entirely, because a lot of other anthology movies don't have any framing device and they work okay. I now feel like if they just cut that whole ending out and just had it end with this funny moment where they're in the office and it's Greg Kinnear just like out of spite saying, I don't care, I'm going to bankroll this thing, and then we cut to the last few, short films. I think it would have been fine to leave it in. It's not that bad, but that ending is just like, it just drags and drags, and it's like, okay, another dick sucking joke. I don't care. This is so stupid,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my.
In a better movie, that would have been a spoiler, but
oh yeah, I mean this thing, like I said, don't even watch it. Skip past them if you can. I mean, it's just
the thing. Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think like Paris Je t'aime and some of the more famous anthology movies. Like, they don't really have a connecting.
Yeah, thing. I mean, Paris Je t'aime has,
and it would cut down the running time.
It would, yeah. none of the other ones do either. New York, I Love You, Brazil, I Love You. None of those have a framing story. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I wrote that one down too. I like those ones. They don't have a framing story.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that decision to do that, but I guess that's why this is not as good of a movie as those other ones. But as far as like the motivation,
the only reason why. But
but exactly. But let's get into it.
Brazil, I Love You is pretty weak. Just so you know,
I haven't seen that one.
That's true.
But
it's not great.
I was gonna say like before we talk about the rest of them and then get into spoilers and all that, the producer of this movie, Charles B. Wessler, apparently is a collaborator with the Farrelly brothers. That's why Peter Farrelly directed several. He directed The Pitch, and he directed, I think, 1 or 2 segments. So it's definitely a Farrelly brothers like DNA in there. And you can see that because they did progressively get like more and more coarse, like with the, when they did like what was like Kingpin, or what was the one, the Woody Harrelson comedy they did?
Some of their movies get pretty gross. Yeah.
They get pretty like gnarly. They're just trying to do this like very outrageous thing. And yes, I think this concept was like, hey, let's do something outrageous, but let's do it with like all the A-listers that we can find to do it.
Yeah.
And it would be some weird like meta, like how is this possible? This is Kate Winslet. This is like, some of the actors here were comedy actors and silly and other things, but some of them, like, you don't tend to see Kate Winslet and like Hugh Jackman and that kind of a thing unless they're doing SNL or something.
They're the ones that, according to, if you were to believe IMDb trivia, the guy who made this thing was able to get Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman to agree to do that first bit. And then using that bit, he was able to shop it around to a bunch of other celebrities who owed him favors. And a bunch of them agreed to do it because they saw that bit and was like, holy crap, Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman are in this. Like it lended some like, weight, some gravitas to this stupid project.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you notice, I think a lot of it, I think at least 4 of them, 3 or 4 of them, it's celebrity couples. It's like people who either never got a chance to act with their significant other or barely had a chance to act with their spouse. I mean, like I believe at the time, I think Emma Stone and Kieran Culkin were in a relationship when they filmed this. I know that Chris Pratt and Anna Faris were, and I'm pretty sure that that Liv Schreiber was still married to Naomi Watts when they did this one as well. So it's like, it's a lot of that. It's like, hey, look at what we did with Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet, and then a bunch of them like, oh, this would be fun. Let's like just do something stupid together,
Yeah, I mean, the only one that I begrudged that it wasn't done better because it had potential was the homeschooled one. Like it had like moments where like it could have been something interesting.
What did you think was wrong with it? Because I have problems with that one too, but I don't.
Yeah, we'll get into spoilers later. But basically, just like to say generally about the arc of this movie is that yes, there's some good ones in there. Like Middle School Date is actually pretty good, directed by Elizabeth Banks. It's good because she shows up in the James Gunn one, and the James Gunn one is definitely good. There's a few stupid ones there in the middle, and a few fun ones, but I like the basketball one. I thought that was like cute.
That's
I didn't
so
find
funny.
It too. Yeah,
I love that.
It was funny, but you know what? It makes sense that Terrence Howard is no longer a Hollywood actor because he's just not that good. I'm just. Because I know he had like a falling out with ever since Iron Man and whatnot with Hollywood, but he's just like not. There could have been like I really needed like in Wayne's World where they take the. I know this is a small part, but can't we get a better actor? And then they move the actor and they bring they bring who's his face.
I remember the scene. I can't remember who they replaced.
No, it was like a random guy nobody knows, and they take him out and they bring out Charlton Heston, and he puts this and he says the exact same lines as the other guy, but they're so captivating, the line readings, and there's a tear on like Michael Myers' like face and stuff. Thank you, and all he's doing is like giving him directions, but it's like Yeah.
I think if they were to go like super serious with it, like obviously like Denzel could have crushed that. But even just funny in like a real funny, outrageous way, I think that like Chris Rock could have done it really well too. But I thought Terrence Howard was funny in it though.
Yeah, he was okay.
I mean, it's a well written speech, you know.
But in any case, yeah, there's something about the order, and I don't know. Maybe you can tell me why it makes sense to put the James Gunn thing after a bit of the credits roll. Definitely one of my least favorite ones is the one with the date, which we can get into that. The one with who I like actually, the tall British guy.
Oh, you don't like that one? I like that.
Oh, and Halle Berry, like Halle Berry. It just got a bit too grotesque. It's just like
gross. It's definitely gross.
It makes sense dramatically that it should go that way as an absurdist comedy, but it was just very off-putting. Let's
go ahead and get into it. Unless
let's just give our ratings quickly and then we can.
Okay. I'd if all of them were as good as like the best 4, I would give it like a solid 8. But the framing device is weak, very weak at the end. And
solid 8.
And I'm telling you, I think the best ones really hit.
Oh, really good.
But because of the worst ones that don't hit at all, that are really pretty weak, and because the framing device just falls apart at the end, I don't think I can really give it any more than like a 6.
I see. What about you, Matt?
I can't see myself ethically recommending this to anybody that I know.
Wow.
Yeah, I might recommend.
You have nieces and nephews. You know, like...
Exactly.
Wow.
I mean, it had a few high points, and actually, one of my favorite segments is one that we glossed over that we can come back to in spoilers. But yeah, I'll give it like a 4.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking to take the tactic of just like giving it like points based on how many sketches I liked. So maybe like a 3, I would say. But it works out between me and Matt. We have like movie 43. 4 and 3.
Silly.
But in any case, so I guess spoilers. So what was the one, Matt?
I was just gonna say, like, as we talk about these, you'll basically hear me like a broken record. Like, I think most of them are, and this is so true for SNL sketches too. When you watch them like online, or when you're watching them on, I don't ever really watch them live anymore because I don't watch live television anymore. But still, like, with sketches in general, knowing when to cut out and leave is so crucial. You know, a really good sketch can be like damaged by lingering too long. You know, and I feel like a lot of these don't stick the landing, and even the ones that do, I often think there's like 1 or 2 moments that just kind of just bring it down a notch. So I don't know. Just want to say that's how I'm going to basically react to a lot of these.
Yeah.
What was yours, Matt?
The Happy Birthday one with Sean William Scott and Johnny Knoxville, where they actually have a leprechaun.
I think that one's so good on paper. I just think it falls apart.
No, yeah. I actually think I actually thought that it was I don't know, maybe it's funnier because I actually find comedy with extreme violence easier to stomach. Extreme, absurd, like over the top comedic violence easier to stomach than some of the sexual stuff that they were trying to pull off.
Well, the fight with the leprechauns is hilarious.
Yeah. And Gerard Butler.
Butler. Oh my god. I like that he's going so grotesque, like so teenage level of profanity, And I mean, because I don't like that in movies, but I like that he's doing that. And they're on the phone, and the other leprechaun says something about, "I'm going to cut your balls off" or something. And Sean William Scott looks over at Knoxville, and he just goes, "God, they're really obsessed with balls." They're really fixated on balls for some reason. It's nice to call out something that was bugging me, you know.
But that was actually one of the skits that had like a real punctuated ending, which is where they had the fairy waiting after they vanquished the two leprechauns and had their pot of gold, and like, I give blowjobs for gold coins. And like it's that, except for Johnny Knoxville saying "so do I," but
that was in the outtakes.
It just kind of like punctuated itself, and it was absurd, and it was violent, and it was profane, and it was some really good actor. Well, there was a really good actor and two very mediocre actors doing what they do, and I think it turned out pretty well. I enjoyed that one.
I'm glad you liked it. I thought it was one of the weaker ones, but I think it's really funny that you loved it so much.
Yeah, I guess that is interesting. People's taste in comedy, which I think maybe before I ask you, Jason, what your top 4 were, I think that's what this movie is attempting to do. If there's any lofty thing about it, it's like, listen, we're all adults. And we do like adult humor occasionally, the sexual kind, the violent kind, so let's just go and we're all famous people, famous creators. Let's just go and have fun. And yes, it might be a bad experiment that would fail as pure entertainment, but it'll be a blast to make. And we'll have a giggle or two from the fact that we made it, because you just can't really, this just doesn't work as a mainstream thing. You don't see this type of thing very often. You might see it a little bit more on the internet, yes, but to see it on a major motion picture, it just doesn't happen very often.
I think to back up what you're saying, this was, what did I say, 2013 is when it came out. If this had come out just 5 years later, it would have been straight to Netflix or something like that. The fact that this got a theatrical release is what's so impressive about it. I like it. And when I say impressive, I don't mean, I just mean it's crazy that happened, I mean, but I mean, I agree with you that it's not that crazy that this thing got made. It's that they tried to make it into this big thing.
But you know what? I bet you if this was made now, which obviously would be very difficult because political correctness and all that, but it would go viral on one of those streaming services.
Oh, probably.
Because oh my God, there's a movie out there that's so outrageous with everything else, being so censored and whatnot. If they could probably make this movie go viral again if if somebody advertised it, because
they're failing right now.
Yeah. But in any case, what were your top 4? I was just curious.
It's actually funny that you say 4, because I think there's
your 4 favorite.
No, that's what I mean, because there's I actually put a little line on the list, and I was like, from this part down, they definitely get worse.
Because you mentioned that in the
for me, the supermarket one. What did you call it? Veronica. Yeah, to me, that is far and away the funniest one out of all of them. Every single one of these things could have been terrible, but that thing alone was worth my admission ticket back when I saw this thing. When they are going back and forth at each other as fast as a couple in a noir film, and just the joke about the HPV and just the really trashy stuff that they are saying to each other, the fact that it tells this story of longing and really trashy relationship that they obviously had with each other is so funny and so engaging. And then how quickly they're going, just quipping back and forth with each other. And then he says, or she says something to him like, I can't believe you named your dog Veronica. And he just quickly says, I can't believe you sucked off a hobo for beans, and she said, or for magic beans. And she just yells back at him, he was a wizard. And it's the conviction in her voice it just speaks volumes. And I'm like, I'm dying. Like I can tell you in the theater, I was crying laughing. It was so funny to me that they went there with this. And just, yeah, that scene at the end where he's like got his hand on her mouth and it's so dramatic and she cries in that scene, in that shot. It's like so funny to me. And then, you know, like we were talking about sticking the landing, like after she runs out, she says that great line about seeing him in church or something. It's just so perfect. And then they could have really lost it if they had just had some mediocre thing where someone says, go after her, we'll cover your shift or something stupid like that. But instead that guy, the old black man, comes up with his hearing aid and everything, and he just says that really funny thing about like, are we gonna let that foxy girl run out on him, or like run out of his light? Like that guy was so funny, like that he really like brought it at the end there, and like it makes it feel so triumphant.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, me personally, that wasn't sticking the landing. Like all the people, the lonely people or older people at the store was a bit too much. Like it wasn't necessary. Like they didn't need to cover his shift or anything. Like maybe something else could have happened there. So to me, that specifically, but I still agree that it's at least in my top 3 to 4. Still, in spite of that.
So number 2 isn't even one of the sketches really. Throughout all these, there's a couple of moments where they're kind of setting up the stupid iBabe one by showing images of like what would be this Apple commercial. Basically, it's really dumb. There's a couple commercials they have that are really stupid. But after the one you mentioned, I don't remember what the actual title is, but the middle school date or whatever, the one with Chloe Grace Moretz and McLovin.
The Tampax.
Yeah, the fact that after that one they go back to the TV.
Oh wait, no, Tampax is the commercial.
The commercial. That's what
middle school date.
I believe that the commercial, the little fit like 10-second commercial. I mean, that's probably 5 seconds, where it just shows the woman in the white one piece and the woman in the black one piece walking on the beach. They walk into the water, and the shark eats the one in the black swimsuit, and then the Tampax commercial comes up on the script. That is one of the funniest things I'd ever seen. It's so short and it's so stupid, and I mean, it's really funny. I put that at number 2 for me, and then from there it's kind of like a tie. I really. I agree with you about the Truth or Dare blind date one or whatever with Stephen Merchant and Halle Berry. I think it gets kind of gross at the end. As soon as they start doing like plastic surgery, I'm just like, oh, it's so gross. But I kind of forgive it because it's one of the few that end on a real high note. Like the fact that they could have had the joke where she leaves him outside the room, but instead they might have even filmed that for all I know. I don't know. But the fact that she's game at the end is a real happy ending for me. And I kind of like that one. I like the concept a lot too. Like the escalating truth or the escalating dare stuff for Truth or Dare. But it's either that one or the basketball one. I think as much as I agree with you that maybe Terrence Howard might not have been the very, very best for it, the concept, I mean, there's how many countless movies have they made through with the same boring formula of like, oh, a long time ago, everything was segregated, and then when they were no longer segregated, there was these moments of the very first pioneers who had to like play these segregated these unsegregated sports, and we can make this really good movies. And some of them, like Remember the Titans, are great, but how many sports movies are there about the first time where people of different races had to clash, on some sort of sporting event? The fact that it's so hilarious that there isn't any basketball ones like that, because it's so obvious, and they do this. It's so funny, and it almost goes too long. Like the fact that he keeps repeating to them and they aren't getting it, it's only funny for like the first 2 times. It starts to get repetitive, but then they got me back when he starts repeating himself and he goes, "How many times do I have to tell you?" He's like, you're black, they're white, this ain't hockey. I was like, oh damn, oh that's good, that is so funny. And, to me, that those ones are my favorite ones. And there's a bunch of other ones after that I still think are very funny. The one we just mentioned, the middle school date, is very funny. The Beazle, the cat one, is very funny. There's a lot that I think after that are okay, like about 3 or 4 other ones that I think are pretty decent, but those ones are the ones I really like a lot.
I do find it amusing that Matt's favorite "Happy Birthday" was directed by Brett Ratner.
Did I say it was my favorite? I thought it was one. I thought I said it was one of my favorites, but yes, it was directed by Brett Ratner.
Well, one of your favorites, yeah. Not that it matters. Obviously, like even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. And you can audit me on this because I'm on I'm on audio, but but yeah, no, that was definitely one of my favorites. Veronica, the one with Emma Stone, definitely one of my favorites. I mean, again, the Terrence Howard thing, how long is your dick?
I don't know. Foot, foot and a half.
Foot? What? Maybe foot and a half? A foot and a half? Every white guy in the auditorium is like crossing his legs next to the date that he brought and thinking, I'm that kid in the movie Airplane who just got told by that little girl, I take my coffee black like my men. It's just like, I mean, the moment the kid stands up, he's hitting his head across. He's hitting his head on the lamp at the top of the hanging from the ceiling because he's so tall. Yeah, basketball is a white boy's sport. Negroes.
So bad. Gil, what was the details about the homeschool one that you thought?
Oh yeah, right. So homeschool. I did want to say a side note about what you said about Tampax. I did also like the other short segment, the Machine Kids. I felt like was also pretty interesting.
I remember laughing very hard at that when I first saw it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I don't know why there was something like amusing about that.
So strange. It's a really bizarre joke, like really bizarre, but it's funny.
Yeah, because somehow there are kids working for you. They're not exactly literally in machines, but there are kids out there in the world working for things that you buy. So I don't know. It's a very truthful comedy going on.
There's something about the comedy of that joke that reminds me of the Mitchell and Webb joke about the call center that has to deal with the complaints, for a company, and they hire a bunch of like 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds to run the call center, and it's these little kids going, "I'm sorry, sir, I can't help you," and then like they're just like yelling at them, like just irate, yelling at little kids, and then it cuts to the guy and he says, "Here at such and such, we have children running the call center because we find that adults really get a lot of satisfaction and relief out of just yelling at children."
In any case, yeah. So the homeschooled one, like what I like about it is the like I like the fact that the parent, like that they take the homeschooling to the extreme, and I like the fact that like they go as far as the bullying and the sexual premise, stuff. Right? Yeah, like there's some of the sexual tension with the and then like the weird kiss and all that, and I like that kind of humor, like the whole but I don't know why it just got kind of like the date one, like the Truth or Dare. It just kind of became gross. like as it progressed. Like they didn't find a way to hit the right tone to keep it like outrageous, clever, but not gross. I'm just not into gross. You know, it's like the way
Me
I feel
neither.
about horror movies. If you can have it
Yeah.
a horror movie be suspenseful, dramatic, and scary to some degree, but not about any like scares, but just about tension, then you got me. The moment that it's all about booze, like just scares and grossness, definitely grossness. Whenever it's like about the gore, I was like, I just don't see any value in it. I can appreciate the craftsmanship, like you know, like The Thing or like some of these movies, like where the creature design and whatnot. But I'd rather like enjoy creature design like Jurassic Park. I don't need to see this gross stuff that's just like unappealing to like watch. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about some of this humor in some of these segments. It's like, if I understand you want to be outrageous, but if you just tame it a bit, like I do
Yeah.
feel like James Gunn and ironically Elizabeth Banks, who was also in the James Gunn episode, I feel like the middle school date and Beazle, they found this balance of like
Yes.
it's gonna
Yeah.
be violent but not too violent. It's
Yeah.
you know, but it's not gonna be too gross, like you know, or if it's
Yeah.
gross, it's the animated cat that's
Yes.
gross. Like
Right.
it's like slightly removed, and the middle school date one too. It's like there's the blood and there's a smearing on the walls, but it doesn't go too far. Like they don't put
Yeah.
the blood in stupid places,
Agreed.
and the reactions from the men makes so much sense. Like you almost
So
believe
funny.
that someone would say that, even though it's like out there. So it's like about finding that balance, and unfortunately, like when you're playing with this hot of a flame, you sometimes lose control of the
Yeah.
you know the moment to moment. I don't know. Sometimes you can fix it in the edit, but sometimes it could just be the directing. So I do feel like the homeschool one, the happy birthday one, um, even the catch, I felt like was a bit too much. Like the fact that it was like the balls were like hairy and
Yeah.
going in the soup or was something, and then it's
That's
like on
gross.
her, like just like no, it's gross enough that he's got it on his chin. You don't have to go any further. Like it just you didn't need to go
Yeah.
further. Like that's gross enough. Like it's just the right amount of grossness.
I agree with you on most of that. It's funny because when it comes to the homeschool one, I completely agree with your assessment of that. It's just for me, it's the other part that's gross. Like I think the premise is so funny. Like the idea that two parents want to homeschool their kid, but they were public schooled and they don't want their kid to miss out on it, so they're trying to recreate that to the extreme. Like when Liev Schreiber is making him run up and down the driveway like a PE coach, but then he starts beating him with dodgeballs. That's hilarious to me. The like belittling him and picking on him like a bully would is really funny to me. Like all that stuff is so funny to me. But and even the start where it's really light, like the mom is his teacher and she's getting his name wrong. Like that's funny, you know, like it's so dumb and it's really funny. But to me, when the mom wants to like sit on the bed with him and kiss him, like I get grossed out. I get creeped out by that scene. And the only way I can watch it is to remind myself and go like, that's not really his mom. That's not really his mom. And it's Naomi Watts. It's easily one of like the 10 most beautiful women on the planet, you know? And it's just like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. I just get creeped out when I see that scene.
It's also one of those things where like he's trying to get back into his own house where his parents are holding a party. Dad is making out with a girl that just like turned him down for a date like the last day and everything. He's watching. You're like, oh, you've got to go home and everything. And like, okay, that's I mean, I get that you're really pushing the line intentionally, but that's
yeah.
No. It just goes like it's kind of like less would have been more. Like they had so many like punchlines there. They could have cut 5 of the worst punchlines and still would have had a solid like sketch.
I think the a good one that illustrates what you're talking about, just going a little far and a little gross, is the shit one with Anna Faris and Chris Pratt. I think the concept alone is really dumb. It's JB Smoove saves that bit, because the middle at the barbecue, he is so fun. Him playing off of Chris Pratt together, like Chris Pratt's trying to be the straight man and JB Smoove is like handing him laxative that he brought to the barbecue. Like, it's so funny. And then, like, okay, there's only one place it's gonna go. There's only one place that this joke can go. And it's funny to me, but it's like, I don't need them running out into the street. I don't need all that. I mean, it would have just been like, she could have just been like trying to leave, and he could have, like, they could have had the exact same dialogue and did all this stuff with it happening in the bedroom, taking less time. And I don't know. I guess it just goes too long for me, and it's really gross at the end.
Yeah. The one thing I was gonna say, I think Matt was gonna say something, but just to not forget, is I don't know why, but lately me and Dan have been watching comedies in the evenings, like movies as well, because it's okay for us to like.
Oh, tell me you showed that you watched this with Diana.
Yeah. So because you know she works in the evenings. But she can watch comedies because she doesn't concentrate as much as
she thought about it.
No.
Tell me, I need to know.
The point is, I mean, the first segment I think was that one, right? That was the first segment after they got off the
balls.
Oh yeah, there was, so we survived the balls, but like once we hit the late phase of the poop one, she was like, no, we gotta stop. Like, I don't want to see how this ends, you know. It's like, you can watch the rest of this without me. And to this day, I haven't even told her how it ended.
I would have loved to have gotten her reaction on the middle school date and the supermarket one.
I almost feel like what I could do is I could show her, like, fast forward to the better ones, but I just don't think it's worth it. Like Matt said, I wouldn't recommend this to my you know, my worst enemy or my partner.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them I wouldn't recommend for a lot of people, but I don't know. I think that you're right that the balance in the middle school date one is just right. And I also get a lot of joy out of the fact that the moment the girl leaves and it's just the dad and the two boys, they could not care less about what is happening. They're just like, all right. He has one of the boys pull his finger, he farts, and he just goes, let's watch the game. Just the problems out of their life. They're done.
But you know, when you think about that, having it be made by Elizabeth Banks, I think it's like the way, like, you know, it's like her getting back at men for seeing women so badly when they portray them in movies. It's like, so I'm gonna portray dudes as badly as I see women get portrayed. Like, that's kind of like her comeback.
I think that she nailed it, because I mean, I have an older and a younger brother. I have no sisters. I can tell you right now that if that scenario was playing out at my house at any given point in time with me or either of my brothers, and my mother was not there, I don't know if we would have been quite so insane as they were, like, so spastic. But I mean, it would have been embarrassingly, like, naive on our parts. You know, like, would have just been like, oh God, oh no, oh. And a lot of what they say, like, they're just, every time someone realizes what's happening, they're like, gross.
And it does, I think the casting is brilliant there for Putty, because like, because I feel like Patrick, because everybody knows him for being like a goofball from Seinfeld, and then later in the other show he was on. So it's like,
all his voice acting.
Yeah, that too. But you basically know that, like, he sells immediately the clueless dad, because some dads are not supposed to be clueless, but he's got a face of the clueless dad, so it works out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we think the adult will save the day, but not him.
Nope. Yeah, the adults should save the day.
Yeah, I just had this thought pop up into my mind, and this is partly like a minor boost for the not booth, sorry, boost for the framing element of the story that we were all dissing on, and a major blemish on this as an anthology film is that, like, when you think about other anthology films, there's really something specific tying them together, like, Perez Chatem, even though they have very different short films, different tones, comedy, drama, and so on and so forth. They're all bound together by Paris. Same thing with, I Love New York, so on and so forth. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, all Western stories, and so on and so forth. The only through line for these are, let's just make a bunch of offensive comedy shorts. And without the framing element of it, it kind of seems like it's not even an anthology. It's just a 90-minute weird film festival slot for short films.
I mean, most of them, I would argue, are at least of the same level of maturity, but and they're all comedic in a sense.
But also at the same time, this is another blemish for the framing aspect, because it goes in, with the guy. Why am I blanking on this fucking guy's name all of a sudden? Going into Greg Kinnear and saying, I want to pitch a movie to you, and I don't even need to make movies anymore. I just need to make this done the best way that it can be done. And then the balls scene comes in, and like, I don't get this. Why are you doing this? They're like, well, you haven't heard the next part. And then it goes into an entirely different story, which is the homeschooling story, which is entirely unrelated to the balls story. So you immediately know that he's not going in pitching a movie. He's just like ejaculating a bunch of ideas onto Greg Kinnear.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't make any sense either. But I mean, I feel like the framing element is there because they understand that there's no interconnecting element in the anthology that ties them all together as, brother and sister short films, no matter how differently they may have been done. But also, the anthology just still doesn't make sense. The framing of the anthology still doesn't make sense, even because of that element. So it's like it mixes like oil and vinegar, or water and vinegar, or whatever the fucking saying is. I don't know. It's late. But yeah, but yeah, I don't know the movie would have worked without any framing element aside from people coming in and just saying, okay, you're just going to watch like a series of fucked up short comedy movies.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think if I'm not sure how they could have done it, but I'm hearing what you're saying. And I mean, I really think that if the framing story had knocked it out of the park, it would have elevated this movie quite a bit, but it definitely didn't.
I think you could have easily just had like some random quote from like a legendary comedian saying something about like, outrageous comedy, and it's, and what's good about it, that digs deep where worked. Like normal comedy like just doesn't have the tools to get to, or like something like that, like just like a quote. And then this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna like just push the envelope, and it's gonna be gross at times, and we might cross the line, but that's okay, crossing the line, because we're just trying stuff out. Like that's
You've convinced me, Gil. That would have been more desirable. I would have preferred that.
And it would be a shorter movie, like to get through. It's there's no denying, but I guess they wanted to be like at least an hour and a half. I don't know.
Well, there's I just read right now in the trivia, there's a deleted one on the DVD that I never watched. So I'm kind of curious to see why that one wasn't put in.
Yeah, it's like what was cut from this movie that was like not bad.
It says,
like, worse than
I'll
what was
read
in
it to you real quick. It says, George Clooney turned down a cameo as himself in a segment where he would be shown to be bad at picking up women. He said there's no way he was going to do it. And then here it is. Okay, Anton Yelchin originally played a necrophiliac in a segment called The Apprentice.
And that's the one I
says,
saw here. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
No, I saw like in the like I think I saw it like in the IMDb or somewhere.
Yeah. It says there's another segment called Find Our Daughter, which was directed by Bob Odenkirk, and it had Julianne Moore and Tony Shalhoub with a detective trying to like find their missing daughter. And it says it was removed from studios following test screenings due to its highly offensive subject matter. But you can watch that one on the deletes. I'll watch that tonight. I'll see how that is. I don't know.
All right.
And, another thing that I find amusing is, and I think I'm gonna watch it because it's on, it's free for streaming. But in New York, I Love You, the anthology. Brett Ratner also directed a segment. I was like, what's up with Brett Ratner doing all these anthologies?
Gil, have you not seen New York, I Love You?
No, I saw the Paris one, but like, but I just, the reviews wasn't as good for the New York one.
Oh, so it's, I don't know what you think, Matt, but the New York one is Paris Jutim is definitely the best one they've made so far.
Oh, absolutely.
The New York one is pretty decent. It's it has at least like 4 that I really like. There's one with James Caan that I really, really like a lot. I think Anton Yelchin's in that one too. And there's one at the beginning with Andy Garcia that I really like. And then there's one with Natalie Portman that I think she directed, or no, she's acting in it, but she didn't.
She did.
She directed a different.
Directed another one.
No, yeah, she directed one in it, but then I think she acts in somebody else's or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But the one that she's in is very thought-provoking. I didn't think it was a great short film, but it was interesting. It has to do with like religion and stuff like that. But I think the best one is like this one at the end with what's that guy's name again? Eli Wallach is in a really like pleasant little one. You know, it's just a little New York thing, but it's definitely not as good as the other one. But I'd watch it. I think it's far better than the Brazil one.
I didn't even know there was a Brazil one. When
I didn't either.
The Brazil one?
It just snuck up on me. There's one about Berlin, and I've never even seen it because it's not streaming on anything, or at least it wasn't years ago when I looked for it.
It's like every big city or country all of a sudden wants like an anthology. Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't have a Fresno I Love You.
Yeah. For sure.
That was a joke, everyone. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's why we're all laughing.
I'm talking to our many viewers.
Anything else? I think we covered it pretty well. I mean,
well, you were talking about a quote earlier, Gil, and it came to mind actually from Louis C.K., right? That a good joke is something that takes you to a place that you didn't want to be and makes you happy that you went there.
That would have worked.
Yeah. I mean, and Louis C.K., that's good enough for me. Could have put it on there.
Damn.
We should do
recut it.
Like a Topher Grace thing and just like recut it and put it online.
Yes, we should.
And then it's going to go viral and we'll become famous.
That would be awesome. Wow.
And I'm going to put the James Gunn thing inside the thing and not after the end of the credits.
Definitely not at the end of the credits. It's so dumb. It says here, just throwing this out there because it just jumped out at me. Colin Farrell was originally cast as the Leprechaun. That would have also been funny.
Oh, yeah.
Colin Farrell.
Gerard Butler was great, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a very memorable face for sure.
Yeah.
Very chiseled for a leprechaun.
You know what could have helped too? A better title.
The movie 43. Yeah.
Like something really catchy, would have really helped.
When I do the edit, I should rename it.
Yes, we'll brainstorm on something really good.
Well,
Yeah, it's not a terrible
I-
idea. I don't know what's the how if you don't do it for for profit,
Yeah,
um,
just rearrange them a little bit.
yeah, and you post it. Like, I wonder what YouTube would tell you if you post that. And,
I don't know.
I mean, the movie is free for streaming, like on like various sites. But and if they claim the YouTube one, you know what happens? Like, usually it happened to me with a music video that I did. If it detects anything on the video that's like either footage from something that's copyrighted or music, it'll just say that ads will automatically be added to your video, and that the revenue will go to the copyright holder. So I was like,
Interesting.
sure, fine. I'll be happy if the producers make some extra money on it. I mean,
Absolutely. That's funny.
Yeah.
not to mention, like, Jeremy Allen White, it's he's big now with like that restaurant show, The Bear, whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, and he's in that
Oh,
segment.
you're
He's in
talking
the
about that
homeschool.
the homeschool guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of what you were talking about. And then I was like, oh, his face was so like familiar to me when I was rewatching. I was like, that's that guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I borderline like, but that's the thing. If I edit this thing, I don't want to start with like the worst one. I need to work my way
No,
up to
just
it.
rearrange it to whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, but because he's so known right now, it would go viral. Maybe I should advertise it that way using his face. But but yeah, I wouldn't start with it. I would definitely start like we ordered them where like the more tasteful ones are in the beginning, and you work your way up to like Louis C.K. said, like slowly but surely you're gonna go to a place that you don't really want to go, but you're happy you went.
Work your way up to the balls on the child's head.
Yeah, something like that.